delegate your stake. Today, we've got a lot of very cool things to talk about this week, and we'll quickly get right into it. So the first thing we'd like to do is go through how the network has been doing in the last week. We've seen a good amount of work come up, so we'll post this here. So the first thing we'll talk about is the estimated usage for Livepeer this week. We're at 2.3 million minutes transcoded. So roughly the same as about last week, which is great. So some steady work coming in. The other thing we had was $7,300 in fees for this week in the network. Again, almost exactly the same as last week. And again, pretty high comparatively to the rest of the year. So pretty good, excellent stuff to have at least some stability when it comes to the network usage. Yeah, and a lot of great things we're going to talk about in this live stream. I just want to make sure that everything is working properly. I have set it up so that we're on YouTube as well as Facebook and all these other crazy things. So we're live streaming directly through the Livepeer ecosystem and using their transcoding. So hopefully what we can do is something called a multistream, where we broadcast the video into the Livepeer network, and then it gets redirected through multiple streams on multiple platforms. So the idea is you can use the decentralized network to process the video, and then it can end up on any platform you want, whether it's a decentralized platform or a centralized platform. So that's kind of testing out some more items today. We're now streaming on Facebook as well as YouTube and as well as livepeer.tv. So a couple different areas we're live streaming, which is really, really cool. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is something called the Web3 Index. Then we'll be going into some major upgrades, AI upgrades that are coming to Livepeer, the Livepeer Academy, as well as the Livepeer Watercooler Conversation we have. So let's jump right into the first one, which is the Web3 Index. So I will post this just over top of the screen here. This is the a project being built by some of the Web3 people, and it displays how much revenue is being done per Web3 protocol. And as you can see right here, Livepeer is actually number 3 on the the amount of revenue that is being generated within the Web3 ecosystem. So Allweave is obviously number 1 because it uses Solana, I think, as the storage. And Filecoin, I guess, is number 2. But very cool, Livepeer is number 3. So in the entire ecosystem for revenue, currently Livepeer is number 3. So we are still super, super early. I think some of the developers from the Livepeer dev system or a dev ecosystem, I think Adam and some other people have been working on this, as well as I think some other devs from other Web3 ecosystems. So the whole Web3 movement is really looking up, pushing forward, and we're starting to see that coagulation, that grouping of different Web3 protocols, and almost like some competition as well, but with all the same goal in mind. So pretty cool to see that. The next thing I want to talk about is a major update with Livepeer, which is kind of the title of this video, which is the introduction of one of the largest upgrades that Livepeer has seen since its inception. And that is the full and fast verification, right? It's the first time that we actually get a use within Livepeer. And this is really critical because you need GPUs to do this. You can't just do it outside learning algorithm and just have it loaded up and do it. But to do it live is more difficult because you have to be able to figure it out as it's happening. And so what it does is basically you take the bit rate of the 1080p that's coming in to the transcoder, and it gets broken down into the raw video, but then it gets transcoded into all the other bit rates. But while it's in that raw form, that's the perfect time to use machine learning algorithms and AI to detect things, right? So there was a great Eric Tang is the CTO and the founder. He was on a call, or at least a interview about the upgrade, And so I will just give you the footnotes of the biggest takeaways of that conversation, so to free up your time. So the first thing is, these are just general takeaways from the Livepeer ecosystem, and then the very end is all about the upgrade. So the first thing was Web 2, which is Web 2 users, is currently the most traffic on Livepeer. So Livepeer does get most of its traffic from Web 2 customers. And when they started Livepeer, to make things very easy, they just simply, Livepeer Inc. simply priced the services 10x cheaper. So that was kind of like the big pushing factor to get Livepeer live, was they just took the price that they charge on Amazon and they divided it by 10 and set that price. So that is probably why we have Web 2 customers, and why we're having a growing network, right? Especially in the minutes transcoded, right? The fees, because we're 10x cheaper, they should be a lot more, but the amount of transcoding we're doing is increasing a lot. Orchestrators, also, because it's open source and because this is a new protocol, orchestrators compete in an open market on quality and price. Therefore, as time goes on in the network, it will perform better and become cheaper, right? So that's a good thing. Another question was, where will the money come from in the future, like in Livepeer? Where does Eric see the money coming from? And his answer was basically, in 2 to 3 years, most businesses will use kind of like a centralized gateway or similar things to like Infera or Alchemy. And so Livepeer is going to use something like, Livepeer customers are going to use the Livepeer.com gateway, right? The Livepeer.com APIs to ingest all that stuff. So the actual amount of broadcasters might be limited, but Livepeer APIs will be there. Another thing is the idea of multi-stream targets, which is what Eric talked about. That is what I'm currently doing now. So we're doing multi-stream targeting using Livepeer as the actual fundamental baseline, and then everything under that is all decentralized, and then it gets sent out to centralized services. Okay, but now let's jump into the fun stuff, the AI stuff of this whole conversation. So it goes live next week, right? So as of this recording, the video recognition algorithm goes live, and orchestrators have 2 weeks to upgrade and move on to the new system. So very cool, lots of stuff being pushed forward in a quick time frame. I think they might be backwards compatible, but ideally, if you're going to be offering the image recognition service to customers, all the nodes need to be upgraded. So once the update goes live, I think we're going to be shutting down all nodes that run an older version of the software. There was a live demo by Eric to demonstrate the software upgrade. So what happens is he used the example of a soccer game. So what happens if somebody is illegally restreaming a live soccer game like the World Cup? How do you stop them from streaming that if they don't have the rights in a decentralized world? So he published or showed a video of a soccer soccer match being played, and then used the algorithm, and to a 97% accuracy, it determined that it was in fact a soccer game, right? So it can also determine things like whether it's adult content or other copywritten content, right? And then the whole idea behind the AI is that it's just supposed to flag broadcasters and the network that this is potentially against copyright infringements or these kinds of things. So, so it works really well. The main use case, I think, behind this is the big problem about, let's say that you live stream a soccer game, and all of a sudden you get an onboard of 10,000 people trying to view it, and you're a little small app developer, you're building out your infrastructure, and now all of a sudden you have 10,000 people all watching content that is not native to your platform, right? It's illegal to restream. And so what happens, all these people come on, and then you have a big bill for transcoding and CDN services, and it wipes you out, right? You have a $10,000 bill overnight for something that you didn't approve of. So these AI image recognitions can stop that from happening. So, and then obviously the machine learning is going to be all open source, and all the data is going to be available and open source. And now you're going to be able to constantly upgrade and have that all open source. So it's not just for scene classification or image recognition, but it's like for anything you can think of when it comes to image recognition on software can be done by the Livepeer network, right? So very cool. And the other comment he made, which I found very interesting, was Eric believes that more revenue is probably going to come from the AI recognition, the AI image recognition work than even the transcoding work, right? So when it comes to revenue in the business, transcoding is just actually a small part of it. And that's currently what we do right now. That's all we do. So if we can add more revenue streams for broadcasters, more revenue streams for orchestrators, which then gets distributed to delegators, then that is really, really bullish news if you were to ask me. So very cool stuff. Upgrade happening next week, and we should see that go live. And come check it out. Hop into Discord if you have any questions, obviously. The last two things I want to talk about to wrap up this video are two things that I've been working on and have kind of tried to build some community around. The first being the Livepeer Academy. So if you go to livepeer.academy, it's currently under construction, but the idea is people have been wanting to get into the Livepeer ecosystem, but have a tough time navigating it. Other Web3 protocols have like some sort of academy, and a lot of places do. So I decided to take the reins and hopefully we can build out a nice academy for delegators, orchestrators, and broadcasters, right? So you can kind of join in, figure out what are you kind of an investor type? Are you more entrepreneurish that you want to start up your own node? Or are you a customer where you want cheap and reliable transcoding AI recognition services, right? So the Livepeer.academy, you can check that out. Still under construction, but something I've just been kind of working on. And then lastly, I launched what I called the Watercooler Conversation. Basically, other protocols call it office hours, might change the name, not sure yet. But it's the idea that we can get together in Discord, in a chat channel, and focus on something like orchestrators and have an in-person conversation with other orchestrators on how to improve their node, questions, troubleshooting, these kinds of things. We had our first one yesterday, and it went really well. We had a lot of great conversation and really trying to build up that cohesion and that community. And I think that's what Shannon, as a head of community, that's kind of her goal, is to build up that community and that cohesion and build that conversation. So this is just a tool in that. So if you're a potential orchestrator, you want to try and spin up your own node, come join the conversation. It's every week. We're going to just double check that we have it on a day that works for everybody. So go ahead and check it out. If you're an investor, come check it out, because you'll be able to learn more about the protocol and what you're getting into. And if you're a broadcaster or a potential customer, you can also come as well. We're going to try and accommodate every piece of the triangle into that chat. So that's basically the update for this week. Thank you for watching. As always, if you have any questions, throw them into the chat and I'll be able to answer them. I didn't answer really any questions today for Q&A, but next week or sometime we'll do that. And as always, happy transcoding. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, a comment, and please subscribe if you like this video. And as always, if you want to find somewhere to delegate, go check out my other videos on where to delegate, how to choose, or you can just pick Titan Node to delegate to. That's all right too. We always appreciate people coming along and supporting the channel, supporting the node.